I tend to be very specific in buying games. I wasn't always. But after I bought quite a few, I figured out that a lot of games kind of cover the exact same groups and genres. And, while the themes are different, sometimes you just don't need both. Many collectors will tell you that they are looking for a specific game, or they just found a game that fits a hole in their collection. You can spot these people when they exclaim their excitement that they finally found a game that they can play with their colonial Japanese 15th century space farming simulator friends. But many people, like myself, just really want something unique. We would rather have two extremely different games than to buy every expansion and iteration of Catan. Did you see the Game of Thrones Catan? Did you see that? We all know that guy who has 750 games. 200 of them are still in shrink on the shelf, and he's only played Axis and Allies and Cards Against Humanity for the past 3 years. So, when I found this game, a hybrid game that is so easy and so quick to set up, yet so incredibly infuriating, oh, I was hooked. I have been anxiously waiting to make this review because of the reprint of the original 10 cases from Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I bought Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Jack the Ripper, and the West End Adventures a few weeks ago. I started playing it, and I was obsessed with it. I put this game in my car every day for the past 2 weeks because I just wanted to have it just in case someone wanted to play. So, I figured I would wait on this review for the second one to come out. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, The Thames Murders, and Other Cases. Something's a little bit weird about this. Technically, this is the second in this print run, first and second, but this one is the reprint of the original one. You know, the one with Sherlock sitting in his nice chair with his pipe on the front of it. The reason why this is so exciting is because the original copies are still going for $100 to $200, and no one wants to pay for that. So I patiently waited, and as silent as the first game came out, this one just popped up on the shelf one day. And while the games retail for about $40 to $50, they still have not been as hard on my wallet as they have been on my whiskey and tea supplies. This is 20 cases of mystery and murder that you can slide off your shelf like an Avalon Hill bookcase game, open it up, and be immediately thrown back to 1886 London. This is like bottom shelf liquor that you swear tastes better than any of that $100 top shelf crap, and man, does it go down smooth. So, get yourself something nice to drink, set up an incredibly fake set of 221 Baker Street, grab a comfy armchair, the London directory, sit down and call all of your friends. And when they have something better to do, just play it solo. It's wonderful. As far as I'm concerned, there is no player count in this game. I think it says 1 to 8. Doesn't really matter. How many games can you take out of the box, pin up the map, open a booklet, and just play with whoever you want? For as long as you want. I've never been so excited about a game before, because this one is so easy. I've played with my parents, I've played with my friends. At different player counts, the game shifts a little bit. At higher player counts, you have more people inputting their opinion into this wild goose chase of a case you're trying to solve. And that's awesome. When you have your mother telling you that no, he didn't kill him with a knife because of this. And then your best friend says it had to be the knife because the knife's sticking out of him. And everyone brings a different perspective. This game is perfect because no knowledge is withheld from you. Everything you can possibly think of can go into the game, whereas most games will limit you. They will give you only a certain amount of tokens you can use this turn, only a certain amount of ideas you can come up with and place into the engine before it spits you out an answer. No, this is as close to role-playing real life as possible, but you do not need a DM. So what's the game actually about? It's exactly what you think it is about. You're a whole bunch of Sherlock Holmes enthusiasts, and you think you can do what he can do. Let's say the first thing you want to do is you want to follow Charlie Chaplin, because he was in the play at the time the mystery began. So, find Charlie Chaplin. If he's not in the London directory, then you're going to have a hard time finding him. However, if he is in the London directory, you can match the place where he stays to the reference book, and then it'll give you a blurb of text about what you found when you went to meet up with him, or if you came upon an empty house, or if you broke into the house and tried to get one scrap of clue. At the end of the game, when you think it's over, and only then, you go to the back of the book, you try to answer questions about the case in detail. And when you do, you figure out if you actually know what happened or if you were wildly astray. Depending on the amount of leads you took, you compare that to Sherlock Holmes, and usually you did horribly. Sherlock usually gets it in like 5 leads. It takes us like 23 to 80. But even when we're losing, and you only lose at the end if you say, I guess we weren't that close, or there's margins of losing, of us saying, oh, we figured out what the murder weapon was, but we didn't know who did it. This game brings a ton of questions itself, because is it a board game? It's in a box, but it almost feels like a role-playing game. Another question, why the hell was Billy under the bridge on the 21st, and does he have anything to do with this case at all? This game is more like a role-playing game in the fact that there is no restricted knowledge. You tell everything to your team of ramshackle sleuths, and every failed lead is not a comment on the character you're portraying, but on yourself. And I played this game with a whole bunch of different people that like a lot of different games, and I did that on purpose, specifically so that I could see who this game is for. Obviously, I'm obsessed with it, and I think it's incredibly one of a kind, but I don't think everyone will think the same. I asked a whole bunch of my friends to tell me exactly what they thought of it, and I got some varying responses. A lot of them really liked it. My girlfriend said every time she goes into the game, she says, hey, I got this. I'm pretty smart. It'll all be fine. But even when she's figured out every single detail, she's dotted her I's, crossed her T's, then Sherlock Holmes comes out and bitch slaps you with the 2 leads he needed to solve the case. They give you a ton of stuff in this box. The newspapers are a thing in itself. They're filled with information about things that happen, like Billy, that I told you about before. There's a whole story strewn across one of the cases just about a kid named Billy. And he either has a ton or absolutely nothing to do with the case. And sometimes that can be frustrating. You're clouded with all these different ideas, and you don't know what to follow. Sometimes you get sidetracked, and none of it will actually help you. It's a game that sometimes, most times, makes you feel dumb. Another one of my friends said, I feel it's too damn complicated. It lacks the structure he likes to see in games. It's extremely wide open. Like an RPG, there's unlimited things you can do, but in this one, they score you at the end. But this is coming from a guy that also loves RPG video games that are all defined to a T on what exactly you need to do, what you need to collect, and where you need to go. At some points, we would just catch ourselves silently reading, poring over a giant map, or another one of us would be reading through all of the newspapers. And then we would spring up when we found something that just might, help us solve the case. And it's a game you can play alone. I would say try and get as many people as you can to play it, because then you're throwing ideas back and forth, and when one person is right and everyone else rejects that idea, sometimes those are the best moments in gaming. One of the most important things I think about this game is that it's entirely paper, and yet it's still one of the highest quality board games I own. The attention to detail and everything, the newspapers that feel exactly like newspapers. Everything's just downright beautiful. Right up to putting it on your shelf next to all your books. So you may wonder what's going on with the reprint of the original brown box. Overall, they fixed a bunch of typos and broken cases that infuriated a lot of people. Also, they really refined all of the text and the art that they have in all of the cases. Before, I was talking about how this one kind of popped up in my game store without me even realizing. And so I did some research, and I found a pre-order link for 10 new cases that are coming out this fall. So now Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective Carlton House, and Queen's Park will be coming out next quarter. Now, while I haven't entirely finished both of these case books, I will be buying that one on release. So, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. When you're done with the game, you're done with the game. But this will be one of the most incredible, frustrating, and unique experiences you may have in board gaming so far. I think it's something that I'm pushing people to try because it's so different. Because it's a game that's a hybrid of role-playing and board gaming, and shows that you don't have to have 8,000 wooden pieces in a game to make it worthwhile. I think you should absolutely try this game. Whether you can get it for your friend group or you can get it hand-me-down from someone else. Unlike Pandemic Legacy or any other Legacy games, you're not altering the game in any way. So other than knowing the secrets that the game holds, you can just give this game to someone else when you're done with it, and then they can enjoy it as well. So I don't have any final rating for this game, but I think you should play it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and that you got some feel of the game, but most importantly, get some friends together, play some new games, play some unique games. Just have a good night. Sit down in a comfy armchair, grab the London